Success Insight shares the stories of the people with passion and drive who make things happen in the world. Here's your host, Howard Fox.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Mind, Body, and Soul series on the Success Insight podcast. The Mind, Body, and Soul series celebrates the journeys and stories from health and wellness professionals who are committed to helping their clients and patients pursue their physical, emotional, and spiritual courage and well-being. Our guest today on the Mind, Body, and Soul series is Jeff Seckendorf. Jeff is an adventurer, a trainer, a filmmaker. He is the owner of two companies, Unified Team Diving, which he started over 12 years ago. And last year, as a result of the pandemic, Jeff started Coach Me Strong, an exercise coaching company for people with Parkinson's disease, other neuro diseases, or are just getting, kind of like myself, just a little bit older, which he calls Gen OW, or older and wiser. I love that. Jeff, welcome to the Mind, Body, and Soul series on the Success Insight podcast.
Hey, Howard. Great to be here with you.
Fantastic. Now, I have to say this is like perfect timing because I'm in my 60s. I think probably you and I are somewhat close to each other. I don't know who's older, but that's okay.
Doesn't matter.
But I love the fact is I'm getting better and older and wiser, but I need to take care of myself. And I just love the work that you're doing, and just would love if you could, as we get into Coach Me Strong, perhaps before that, let's talk a little bit about your background, because you do have a really an amazing background in both business and athletics. So I would love if you could share a little bit of that story.
I'll try to keep it super short. I was a child photographer, and I parlayed that into a filmmaking career over the course of a bunch of years. And so I spent about 30 plus years as a filmmaker, as a director of photography and director. I ended up shooting like 1,000 commercials and a bunch of TV movies and some feature films and music videos and all that. And, the film business sounds like, just be amazing fun all the time. But really, for 95% of the people in the film industry, their full-time job is looking for work, and their part-time job is working on movies. And so that was my case also, right? So I spent forever trying to find work but making movies is hysterical fun. I mean, it's just super fun and hard work and really interesting, taxing creatively and physically and all of that. So I had a producing partner once who told me that she thought I would spent like 20 years trying to get into the film industry and 20 trying to get out.
I love that.
So yeah, when I was kind of winding down on that, I was looking for something else to do. I've always had an education component to whatever I've done, right? I taught in the film industry for years. I taught workshops. I ran a little mentoring program for emerging directors. So I was looking for something with an educational hook. And then I had taken some scuba classes, some technical diving classes from a guy, and he was like, I'm thinking about starting a training agency. And it's like, oh, well, I'll do that with you. It sounds like fun. It sounds educational. So we started UTD Scuba Diving, Unified Team Diving, about right around 2008. And I've since written like 7 or 8 books, and we wrote all the course content. There's like 200 chapters of course content. And so scuba's been cooking along really nicely. I've chosen as kind of my charity in life to take care of the Parkinson's community as best I can.
Sure. And I would love to just interrupt you for a second. As we get into this work with Coach Me Strong, I would love to understand a little bit of the context and what's the why with Parkinson's, because I mean, it's such a debilitating disease, and I've had friends and family that have been afflicted by it. So definitely want to touch on that as well.
Yeah, I got involved with some research, doing some filmmaking work for a research project on Parkinson's. And from that, I've done, 4 or 5 international treks to raise money for Parkinson's. And I've been the filmmaker on these projects. Mount Everest Base Camp, Machu Picchu, did Camino de Santiago, going to the Dolomites next year. So ended up doing that. I've got like 100 friends with Parkinson's.
Wow.
So it just became the thing that I do. I help out the Parkinson's Association of San Diego. I do their website, I do their emails, I do their content, stuff like that. So it just became the place where I decided to put my energy in this life, this part of my life.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. So, I've been doing that work for the Parkinson's Association for a long time. And so we got UTD Scuba Diving going. And so now there's a little left turn here. We talk about sports. So I'm a bike racer. I race a bike on the track, on the velodrome at a national level. And I'm a coached athlete, and I have been a coached master's athlete for a very long time. And, and I've worked as a coach in different sports along the way, and in business and so on. So in scuba is based on these transactional classes, right? You show up for 2 weekends, you get a card, you go off, and you don't know anything. So we decided we wanted to change that model. And I built out a coaching program for scuba diving training. It's really interesting. It's based on endurance coaching. You get workouts, you get a calendar, you get communication with your coach. And so the scuba company, which has traditionally had instructors and students, we have an element of that now has coaches and clients. And the clients come in, we work with them for sometimes months and months at a time. Along the way, if they reach the level of certification, we certify them. And this program is super cool, and it's really unique, and no one else has done it. So I was at a board meeting at the Parkinson's Association right when COVID started. And one of the doctors was saying that when the gyms closed and programs closed and all of that, her patients were having all sorts of trouble. Parkinson's, oddly, the only known therapy that will slow the progression of Parkinson's is exercise.
Really? Wow.
The drugs manage the symptoms, but exercise slows the progression. So, but once you get diagnosed with Parkinson's, you've got to exercise. We tell people that once they get Parkinson's, their new job is as a full-time professional athlete. They have to exercise. But there's no real model for that other than finding stuff to do. So, when the gyms are open and when the Parkinson's exercise programs are going in person and boot camps and stuff like that, it's kind of easy. But when all that's shut down, nobody kind of knew what to do. So I piped up, of course. This is how my life has always run, just finding things to say yes to.
Sure.
And I said, I've got this coaching program already built out. The whole infrastructure is done. And I understand coaching because I'm a coached athlete and I'm a coach. I can build out an exercise coaching program for people with Parkinson's in like no time. And they were all, just do it. So I took on a collaborator, a partner who has Parkinson's, who's also on that board. And the two of us built this thing out in like 6 weeks. And we started taking in clients. We got coaches. And it's been going for a year and a half, full gas. And it's working really, really, really well. I mean, our little tagline is, hey, doctors, you tell your patients they have to exercise, but we tell them how.
That's fantastic.
Because nobody knows, nobody really knows how to do structured training. Nobody knows. I mean, look, I've been riding a bike competitively forever. And I have a coach because I can't do my own structured training programs, right? I don't know how to do it. I just like to have somebody guide me through that process every week. Tuesday, you're doing this. Wednesday, you're doing this. Thursday, you're doing this. This is why you're doing it. This is how you're doing it. This is what the nutrition is. This is what the hydration is. This is what the results are going to be. So we built out Coach Me Strong. The coaches are physical therapists, exercise physiologists, kinesiologists, and we take on clients. We assign them a coach. The coach gives them daily workouts. They communicate with them every day. It's just awesome.
And it might not be obvious to our listeners today, this program is all online.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And
yeah, it's delivered online. The communication is online, and the clients are charged to do the exercises either by themselves, with a partner, or in a small group that we either put together for them or they find.
Okay.
This is not come to our place and we'll exercise with you. This is guidance for structured training.
So when an individual who has been advised, coached, mentored to, or told you need to sign up for this program, what's their intake like? I mean, how do you begin to put them into the right area, whether, exercise, or is there a process that you're going through to place them, get them up to speed, and then get them into a program? How does that work?
Yeah, we've got it down so it's pretty simple. A lot of our clientele are Gen OW, generation older, wiser, not all that always facile with computers. Right. I mean, we have clients with flip phones. So, we try to make it really simple. So you go to the website, you click a button, you get a form, you make a payment, you give us all your information about who you are, what you're facing, what's your exercise history, what's your history as an athlete, what stuff do you have at home to work with, what do you like to do? This is really important, because if you don't like it, you won't do it. If it's not fun, you probably won't do it. And then we take all this long pile of data and we figure out who the best coach is, right? So if we get a client comes in with lots of underlying orthopedic stuff, right? I've had a hip, my knee hurts, my shoulder hurts, whatever it is. They generally go to one of our coaches who's also a physical therapist. If they come in with underlying cardio stuff, right? Pacemakers, things like that, they go to one of our exercise physiologists who got a long time history working with people with Parkinson's. So we align them with the different coaches depending upon what their underlying situation is, what their needs are, what they're like. And then, within 2 or 3 days, they've got a calendar. We show them how to use it, and they're off and running. And then the coaches generally load up about a week at a time, so they can stay current. They get notes every day from the clients, and they use those notes to adjust the program. And some of it's go out and walk, and some of it's video based and follow along this video. Some of it's, go do your favorite yoga class. And now that things are opening up again, a little bit easier for us because we can send people out to the gym and send people out to programs and stuff. So it's really powerful the way it works.
It sounds amazing. And what I like, there's a lot of programs available for everything, whether I'm cooking, whether I'm yoga, doing macrame, whatever. And they're all video based, and here's a watch this video, then go do something. But it sounds like this program, while there is some videos to watch, it's also interactive as well with the practitioner, the client. Are they interacting with each other or in a group, or are they communicating via the messaging? How is that continuous interaction to do the I'm an ex-sailor, so tweaking the sails a little bit to make sure you're staying on course? How is the patients, the individual client, staying on course with your practitioners, coaches?
So one of the things we look at is that the coach is really the accountability partner.
Okay.
Right. Often with Parkinson's, lethargy is a symptom. Sometimes it's hard to get off the couch. Most everybody lives with someone who's helping them, and it's often a spouse. And the spouse knows, this is a rabbit hole, the spouse knows that exercise is good for Parkinson's. The Parkinson's person is lethargic and doesn't always want to exercise. So there's a lot of nagging that goes on in that relationship sometimes. So one of the things we do as an accountability partner is we set the coach up as a teammate with the client. And then we try to shift the role of accountability from the care partner, the spouse, to us. Sometimes we call ourselves the anti-nagging company. One of the surprise benefits, here's the thing. Also, I love this, right? So anytime you do a company or you do a project, you get surprise benefits. It makes me really happy. But one of the surprise benefits was taking on the accountability and taking it out of the house opened up space in some of those relationships for people to actually have more fun at home, have a better relationship at home, because there's less like, did you walk? Did you exercise? Did you do your yoga? Did you do your stretches? Did you do this, that, the other thing? So that's been a really interesting piece of it that personally I really like, because, we get to have a relationship. We, the coaches, get to have a relationship with the clients that goes way beyond just dropping workouts in a calendar.
And I love that you're taking the pressure off of the caregiver or the spouse, because, the spouse, the home doesn't become this bad thing. And the coach is the accountability partner, is taking on some of that that role in helping the client when they walk out the door. I love that. What are some of the feedback that you're getting from the older, wiser generation like me, who, I mean, quite frankly, Jeff, I could use your program.
Well, quite frankly, Howard, you're welcome in.
All right, I love that, and because I have a facility right up one floor above me that I've only seen it when my friend took me to see it when I moved into his apartment. Okay, and he goes, "Hey, Howard, enjoy your stay here," and I've never seen it since. And so now I'm thinking, okay, how can I have an interview with Jeff Seckendorf and come away with not doing something different? So that's neither here nor there. Well, what are your clients saying? Because this is, COVID, I think last year presented us with a unique opportunity to really look at how do we deliver our product, our service, our coaching, our mentoring that is not always going to be the traditional brick and mortar, you got to drive to a facility somewhere. And what's been the reaction to the clients who are signing up for, Coach Me Strong, and what's been their feedback?
So, this sounds like hooey, but pretty much across the board, everybody gets better. Everybody does better. So exercise, when you are training for events like I do, or exercise when you have to exercise to, in this case, keep a disease at bay, or you feel like you need to exercise for any number of health reasons or weight or whatever it happens to be, only works with two caveats. One is consistency and the other is structure. So consistency is easy to figure out, right? You have to do something, we say every day, and a rest day is part of something, a recovery day is part of something. So you've got to do something every day. But equally important is that something has to be structured. We have clients call up and say, hey, I exercise, I walk 20 minutes a day. And all that's making you good at is walking 20 minutes a day, right? It's not stretching all the other systems in your body, the anaerobic system, the individual muscle systems, the balance issues, everything that is beyond just taking, watching your iWatch and taking, 3,000 steps. So structure is what makes us different from every other exercise program, which is why we always say, you're told to exercise, but we tell you how. So in structured training, you get this amazing mix of aerobic, walk, swim, run, whatever you can do, bike, anaerobic, weights, bands, high intensity, either on the bike or walking up hills, things like that. And then you get strength, and it's balanced out between upper body, lower body, and core. And then you get balance, because that's a huge thing for Parkinson's and anybody getting a little older. So we take all these different elements and we put them in an order that makes them more effective than if you did them randomly. We never want anybody doing strength training like 3 days in a row, right? Because you don't have time to recover. When you exercise, you don't actually get stronger. When you exercise, you break down the muscles, and the recovery, which is called adaptation, is what makes you stronger later. So every hard thing you do exercise-wise has to be followed by a period of recovery. It also has to be followed by a period of fueling, right? So we work a lot on get the fuel right, get the food right. I lead a bike ride for our clients on Friday mornings, and I've got them like, I want you eating this much carbohydrate and this much protein within 2 hours of the ride. I want you drinking this much water. And after the ride, I want you eating this much carbohydrate. Go get a banana, go get your smoothie, whatever it happens to be. So there's all of these elements to structured training that go beyond just, let's go for a walk. Let's go for a little bike ride, right? And that's what we do. We take, what seems simple, and we put it into a program that makes it 10 times more effective than if you randomly chose things off the internet or at a gym going. So if you go up to the gym and you stare at all that stuff and someone says, oh yeah, do this circuit, do this weightlifting circuit, that's great. But is it really effective for what you need, or is it an injury waiting to happen?
I was in Vermont a couple of weeks ago, and there was a massive hill between the hotel and the wedding tent by the golf course where we had our meals. And after doing that 3 times a day for 4 days, I was hurting. And it took me the entire week to recover when I got back. And it's like, that was like a lesson to be learned. And I'm so glad you and I were going to be having this conversation, because I mean, somebody like me, I sit at my desk all day. I mean, you literally you sit at your desk, do work.
I sit at my desk all day too, but sometime in the middle, I take an hour or two and I go for a ride.
See, there's something I really need to do right away. In addition to so they're working with a coach, does the coach change as the individual progresses in the program? So that's one question. The second question is, are you doing any work, say, with the caregiver, the spouse, because their life is going to change as a result of the client being in this program, and they're going to have perhaps a fresh view, a new perspective as well. So I'm just, as a coach myself from a business, life, executive coaching, I'm always interested in who else is affected by this new regimen. So I'm curious how the spouse caregiver is affected by this program as well.
So your first question, do the coaches change? Very, very rarely. Inside the program, do people move around coaches because they develop a relationship? We do a pretty good job figuring out who's best with who. So we don't see that happen very often, but of course, it could. Okay. Also, coaching's funny, right? Coaching in an exercise situation, sometimes we encourage people to go find another coach after a couple of years, right? You get to a point where you've learned everything you can. Some people also come into this program with the idea that, hey, I'm going to come in for 3 or 4 months. I'm going to learn how to do this. I'm going to go off and do it on my own. We've had that. We're super upfront about it. It's like, great, awesome. We will not only provide you the programming, but we'll teach you how to do it, because I'm all about teach a man to fish. So there's that piece of it. And, it's funny, when the first client left, after, we started and we got a bunch of clients, and then the first one left, I took it so personally. I'm like, no, don't leave. I'm on the phone. It's like, we can do more for you. We'll give you more. We'll fix you better. And I realized that, that was really not serving anybody very much. And so now when people call up and say, hey, we're leaving, I'm like, wow, I'm so grateful you were here for X number of months or years. How can we help you moving forward? Come to the bike rides, stay in touch. We're going to do some boot camps. Come to the boot camps. Because I want people to be able to do this on their own if they don't want to continue coaching. Me, I've been coached continuously for like 12 years now. I don't want to do what I do alone. Some people do. For some people, it's financial. For some people, it's emotional. For some people, they just think, okay, I've kind of gotten what I can get out of this, and now I'm going to go do that. So coaching's it's a work in progress all the time. People get stronger, programs change, people get injured, not often, but Parkinson's, people fall and crazy stuff happens. So we're super careful about things like that. We've had people call up and say, hey, I fell getting out of the shower and I need a month off. It's like, okay, we just stop them for a month and then they come back. But your question about the care partners is a really good question. Sometimes we have people come in together as a family. Sometimes we know that the care partners are exercising with the client, and we love and encourage that. And we always talk to them about, are you healthy too? So beyond that, most of the care partners for Parkinson's fit into our Gen OW category.
Sure.
And the Gen OW category is really interesting, right? So this is basically baby boomers, silent generation. I don't know. You could call it anything, right? 50 plus, 60 plus, 70 plus. I don't know. But, that's a group of people who sometimes think, I've been doing great so far, playing golf once a week. So I'm just going to stop at that until something happens, right? like one of the things we do with our Parkinson's patients who have falling issues, right? Because balance is a big thing. We work on upper body with them a lot because people tend to slip or get out of balance and they grab something. And we want their upper body strong so they don't tear apart shoulders and arms and biceps and triceps and things like that. So, we don't want anybody to start exercising when it's too late, right? We look at someone who's a heart attack waiting to happen. It's like, you need to come in now. We look at somebody who was very recently diagnosed with Parkinson's. We want you now. Whether or not you stay in the program is less important than if we get you now and we can train you. And then if you become, like me, where you like being coached all the time, awesome, stay in. If you feel like you want to go out, awesome, we'll help you go out. It's really about, but it's about getting people in a lifestyle change where, they want to exercise. We talked about accountability partners. The process is they're accountable to their care partner, and that's usually a train wreck. Then we come in, they're accountable to their coach. That's awesome. But our goal as coaches is to move the accountability from the coach to the person, to the individual. Like with me on a bike, I know my coach is looking at my workouts, my power files, all that kind of stuff. That's fine. But that's not why I do the workouts. I do the workouts for me. And that's where we're trying to get our clients.
I love that. And also, I want to make it clear for our listeners, this program is not, while the impetus for the program was to help the Parkinson patient who was affected by COVID and now suddenly cannot go to a gym. They're at home, and it gives them a very substantial program to get out and exercise, which is what they need. But this program is also for, dare I say, somebody like me who is a older, wiser, definitely overweight. I'm looking at you, by the way, Jeff, and it's like you probably have to run around in the shower to get wet. Me, my stomach gets into that shower first, and it's, and I like, this is a program for somebody like me. It's like, what's taking so long? So I love this. And for anybody, any 60 something, 50 something, 70 something, you have to move, you have to exercise and stay healthy, because when we get hurt, it takes a long time to recover.
It takes a long time to recover. And you put off a lot of the medical stuff if you're fit. Yeah. It's just, and I just before we jumped on this call, I was working with a client, 92 years old, and he sounds awesome. He's getting it together. He's figuring out how to use his computer. That was another crazy surprise benefit, right? Everybody was telling us at the beginning, oh my God, having an online program or a phone-based delivery system for your exercises, none of this community is going to be able to manage it. And so it turns out, one of the things that happens is we're forcing these people, this group of older people who maybe look at their email once a week, to get on their computer, to figure out how to use it, to type some stuff, to check off things and learn. So that, that intellectual connection to the technology also became a side benefit, that we're forcing people to do something that is working their brains at the same time.
And that is definitely an added benefit, because if we don't try to learn something new, that's when the other major illness or condition in our society, Alzheimer's, can occur, is we're not using the brain, we're not exercising it.
Yeah, the people we know who are working in their 70s, 80s, I think are, if you can do it, I think it's awesome. I think amazing. It's awesome, because it just keeps you going. It keeps you alive. I have a friend I ride a bike with. He's 82, 83, something like that. He's a patent attorney. Still works.
That's fantastic. And the fact he's still on a bike, that's...
Oh, no, he's a beast on a bike.
Wow. I haven't ridden a bike in a couple of years. I am like, I can go up to the exercise facility upstairs, but to get actually on a road bike, that I'm gonna. I may.
Right, it sounds like we're gonna get you there.
There you go. Listen. So what's next for Coach Me Strong? Again, it's a year a little over a year since COVID. You definitely have solved a problem that was manifesting because of COVID. How do you see this evolving? Have you thought about some of that yet?
It's going to continue to do what it's doing. And, we're taking on more of the Gen OW people. We're taking on more people outside of Parkinson's. We've got one coach had a traumatic brain injury, so she gets all those people. We have somebody came in recently with MS and things like that. So we're really working. I feel like we needed to have a track record. We needed to have some stability. We needed to have clients have successes, and we need to get the bugs out. And that happened pretty quickly. So now that the company's standing on its own, it's doing well, we're taking on clients. Now we're just spreading out a little bit. It's an interesting thing though, because when a doctor or a nurse practitioner says to their patient, you need to exercise, call this company and sign up. They call up and it takes me 10 minutes to talk to them and they sign up. When somebody finds us through the retail side, right, social media side or whatever, the way they find us, and they don't come into this program pre-vetted by their doctor, it takes me like an hour and a half to convince them we're legit. Right. So, what we're doing now is we're really working on embracing more of the prescribing doctors and family physicians and cardiologists who will refer patients in, because it makes our job so much easier. And that's the route that I like the most.
Well, and I think if you have a physician, a caregiver, whether it's traditional MD, DO, chiropractic, nurse practitioner, et cetera, the more they're educated about what's available, then their advice to their patient is much more powerful than take 2 aspirin and just take it easy, go for a walk.
Well, no, it goes past that, Howard. Yeah. It's like it's the doctor who says go exercise, but doesn't give you any guidance.
Right.
It's like go exercise. Well, now you're back to this scenario where somebody's walking for 20 minutes 4 times a week, or they're playing golf once a week, but it's got to be structured and it's got to be consistent, or it just doesn't work.
Definitely that.
So that's where we are going, is that, we're working on making sure that people understand that what we provide is structured training. We're not just, knocking these things out of air.
No, I love it. Jeff, as you look back on your career, you're an entrepreneur, a business owner, a world-class athlete. As you look back on your journey, any surprises, anything you would do a little bit differently, or basically this has been the perfect journey?
Wow, it's 3 questions.
Yeah.
Surprises.
Multiple questions.
Surprises. Yes. What was the second part? Would I do anything differently?
Would you do anything differently?
No. And what was the third part? I don't remember either. See?
That's okay.
So surprises, yes. And I actually think about this a lot, right? I have been able to figure out how to make a lifetime of work in either as a freelancer or in small companies, which gives me a lot of flexibility in my life, which I love, but it also makes me work really hard because, people say, oh, you started a company. That's cool. You have all this time free. It's like, no, it doesn't really work that way. It's kind of the opposite, but I do really like it, but it's always been by saying yes, right? I think you look at an opportunity, and if you recognize an opportunity as an opportunity and you're willing to say yes, it doesn't always work, but you can. I've done startups that have they start up and they start out, and then they start down, and then they're done. But I think you have to, right? You have to be able to take these chances. Now, with me, so I got in the film industry. I took a workshop course in filmmaking to help me. And I loved this program. And I went back as an assistant for like 2 years. And they started giving me courses to teach. And I did that for 24 years. And when I was up in LA making movies part-time, because I was full-time looking for work, somebody said to me, I'm going to go to this, continuing ed film school. It's $8,000. They're going to teach me how to make a movie. And I was like, well, wait a minute, why don't you give me the $8,000 and I'll teach you how to make a movie? And that turned into a company called One-on-One Film Training, which is also operating, that I did part-time for about, 6, 8, 10 years as a mentor to emerging directors, working with them on visual storytelling. So I think it's really about, when you see an opportunity, look at it, assess it quickly, and say yes or no. So I think that I've actually made pretty good choices on when I've said yes, not all of them, but some of them. The ones that you say no to, some of them are really expensive, but that's just the way it goes. So would I do anything differently? Probably not, because the path led me here. I've had a lot of projects, a lot of companies that indirectly help people, but Coach Me Strong is the first company I've ever had, first project I've ever done where I am directly impacting people's lives in a positive way, like on a daily basis.
And that's a wonderful feeling.
Indirectly. It's an amazing feeling, and it's direct and it's daily. And I talk to these people every day, and they're getting stronger and better, and they're feeling better, and they're falling less, and they're doing great, and they're losing weight, and they're doing all these other great things. And to me, it's like, I can't imagine. I mean, I can picture other routes to get me to this thing, but I don't care, because I got to this thing and this is where I'm happy.
Very good. One last question, Jeff. If our listeners would like to learn more about you, your work at Coach Me Strong, where are the best places for them to go?
Yeah, coachmestrong.com. It's all there. We're on Facebook. We're on Instagram a little. We're on LinkedIn a little. Okay. But coachmestrong.com, there's a button right in the middle that says set up an info meeting. Just click on that, and we'll call you, and we'll talk to you, and we'll see if we're a good fit. If we're not a good fit, awesome. If we are a good fit, awesome.
Awesome too.
And and then it's right now we're $149 a month. We're self-pay. It's super cheap. And we talk openly about money in this company, right? I like to think that we are the most financially transparent fitness company in the world.
I love that. So, well, Jeff will definitely provide the backlinks to Coach Me Strong. And for our listeners, I think I'm going to be visiting it right after this call. But there's a commitment for me as a coach. I'm all about accountability and commitments, and how are you going to do that? So,
everybody I know in my cycling community who coaches is also coached. Self-coaching, that's not such a good thing.
Not at all. And, as you were sharing early on, even coaches like I am, we need to have coaches as well, supervisory, or is someone that we can kind of chat about things we're going through. So that's wonderful. Again, Jeff, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy day. I know, since we had some conversation beforehand, you do get to relax and do some fun things on your time with your spouse, and you've got some things coming up in the future. But just look forward to continuing to learn more about you and your work. And again, we really appreciate you taking the time to join us on the Mind, Body, and Soul series on Success Insight Podcast.
Yeah, I'm grateful to be here. I love talking about this, and it's been really fun to meet you, and looking forward to seeing what we do in the future.
Sounds like a plan. Folks, we have just been chatting with Jeff Seckendorf. He is an entrepreneur, trainer, former filmmaker, and his business these days is centered around a very important topic of helping individuals, whether it's Parkinson's patients or folks like me. I would like to think I'm older, wiser, really, make the best life possible to stay physically fit. And, as we kind of navigate, whether it's a physical issue or just, the issue of age, and through their work at Coach Me Strong, what a wonderful opportunity, a technology-based solution really to address some of the challenges we had last year and continuing this year with COVID. And when, the facilities are shut down, how do we stay and get not only coaching, but have an accountability partner that can help keep us, healthy and well. And what a wonderful story. And really very glad that Jeff joined us today on the podcast. Again, you can check him out and the work that they're doing at coachmestrong.com, and you'll have all the social links there as well. We're going to provide those too in our show notes. Folks, if you enjoyed today's podcast, the Mind, Body, and Soul series on the Success Insight podcast, do visit us on successinsightpodcast.com or on LinkedIn and Facebook, our Success Insight podcast pages. We are on all of the podcasting platforms, Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. We're on Audible, YouTube, and especially Spotify, where we have the Mind, Body, and Soul series playlist. Okay, folks, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, go out there, have a phenomenal day. Take care of yourselves, your family, practice social distancing if it makes sense, wear your mask if it makes sense, but above all, take care of those around you that you love and take care of the community. And we will see you on another episode of the Mind, Body, and Soul series on the Success Insight podcast. Take care now.
Success Insight is a production of Fox Coaching and First Story Strategies. Find us online, successinsightpodcast.com.